Thanks, Steve. I know a lot of you guys will have questions about the Treon Harris situation. The statement that the university released Monday, I think, was pretty self-explanatory. It's a very serious charge, and there's been no change in his status. And so that's kind of where we are. I don't have anything additional to add. I know some of you still will ask questions, but I'm not going to have any other comment on the situation. To reiterate what Steve said, sorry to inconvenience you guys, with the situation Monday and the seriousness of it. Felt like it was a little insensitive to have a football press conference. I think it is today too. So, but we've got to move forward. I'll recap the Tennessee game and talk a little bit about LSU and our preparation, which started on Sunday. Tennessee was a big win for us. I thought offensively improved on third down. We had 7 conversions on third down. I think in the 2 previous games against 2 good football teams, their defense had only allowed 3. So that was a good improvement. I thought we ran the ball well. We need to continue to throw it better, be more efficient in the throwing game, timing, ball placement, catching the football. I think we protected well in the game, but continue to make some progress there. Our defensively is a total team effort. We had 8 red zone snaps. You had negative 11 yards, 3 incompletions, an interception, and a sack. So I think our guys played extremely well. We made it a one-dimensional game. We were able to get pressure on the quarterback with 4 guys rushing, 3 guys at times. We picked our spots to pressure. Although DJ did a good job, and our defensive staff. Special teams, Kyle had 5 punts inside the 20-yard line, and Austin Harden hitting the 49-yarder, which would have been good for 60. I was really proud of him. His confidence level has certainly taken a step forward, and need to continue to. Players of the game offensively was Matt Jones. I thought Matt ran extremely hard and extremely well in the game. Offensive line, Max Garcia continues to have an outstanding year. Defensively, we gave it to our defensive unit. We felt like from a front standpoint, when we asked guys to rush and get pressure with 4, we were able to do so. We covered well on the back end. There were so many positives that we did in each group. We had some guys that had productive days. Brian Cox had a great day. Jalen Tabor, for a freshman, had an outstanding, or for any player, had an outstanding game. Brian went through a very tough time losing his grandfather there that week and managing that situation. So, but Ball Hawks, Tabor, and Keanu O'Neal, who continues to play outstanding football. The interception at the end was a big-time play. Dante Fowler continues to play well. Marcus May played his best football for us this year. Vernon Hargraves and Alex McAllister. Special teams players of the game, Austin Harden with a big field goal, and then also Marcus May and Jabari Gorman. That's 2 guys that started the previous game. Didn't start on defense, but they didn't hang their head. They went out and worked extremely hard and were huge contributors for us on special teams. So very proud of their efforts. From as far as injury right now, Leon's, I would say, is questionable for the game. He has worked out with us the last 2 days, but we'll see how we continue to progress through the week. Mike Taylor, his knee is fine. He's got the flu. He's missed the last 48 hours with us, but he will be at practice today and will practice and will play in the game. He's ready to go. Brandon Powell looks great. He has moved extremely well. Will Greer's good. He'll be ready to go. Matt Jones is a little swelling on the knee, but should be fine game time. Valdez Showers is out with a high ankle, but we will get him back next week. I feel very confident in that. And C.J. Wharton is back, and he will play in the game Saturday. So it's good to get him back. On to LSU. Les going into his 10th season, typical LSU team. You look at their offensive line, they're big, they're athletic, they're 320 across the board plus. Very physical on the offensive line. Running backs, McGee is a guy he's been there a long time, but a heck of a football player, obviously a very unselfish player. Does a lot of things for him on special teams. I really enjoy watching this young man play. Leonard Fournette, outstanding player. Darrell Williams, we recruited as well. Kenny Hilliard, we recruited as well. Whoever's in there, they're physical, they compete, they run it hard. They have great ball security. They take care of the football. Receiving-wise, they've lost 2 very good players from last year. They've replaced them with long, athletic guys that can go get the football down the field. Darrell's averaging 26 yards of reception. Malachi Dupree's averaging 24 yards of reception. And a lot of those have been contested 50-50 balls. There are longer guys that have gone up and gotten the football. Trey Quinn's done a nice job for him in the slot. And at quarterback, Jennings and Harris have both played. Both of them have live arms. They can throw it. Any throw you need to make, they both can make all of the throws. They are athletic. They do have legs. That always concerns you in those situations when you play against a quarterback like these two guys, but they're two talented young men. Defensively, John Chavis has been in our league a long time, a guy that I've got tremendous respect for. They've had 13 turnovers so far this season. They've scored twice on defense, but they're long, they're athletic, they run extremely well. Hunter and Roscoe, the two ends, are the two guys that you see up front and their pass rush ability and creating some one-on-ones. White and Robinson and Mills are guys on the back end that make a bunch of plays for them. They cover extremely well. Don't get fooled by last week's game. They had two 50-50 balls down the field, big chunk plays for Auburn, which resulted in 14 points. Auburn puts another drive together. You give them credit. It's 24/7 before you've taken a bite out of your hot dog yet. So those guys are extremely athletic on defense. They're outstanding on special teams. We ought to have a special environment here at 7:30 in the Swamp, and I know our guys are extremely excited to get back here and play. And I'll open it up for any questions.
Mark and then Pat.
Will, how big of a distraction has the Treon Harris situation been for you guys?
Well, again, just, you handle things in life and you move forward, and that's what we're going to do.
Teams typically either this affects them or they rally behind it. What do you have a feel for your team yet? This week?
I feel very comfortable in how we've approached the situation.
Pat, over the right.
Well, Will, what is your depth chart at quarterback right now?
Well, Jeff will start the game. Jeff was going to, no question. We had not made a decision off the last game of who would start the game. I knew Jeff was going to play in the game. I do know that. As we continue to practice today and tomorrow, right now Skylar and Will are swapping the reps with the second group, and we'll make that decision game time.
And can you just talk about your receivers needing to step up and make plays? And
15 drops at the position, which is – I would probably look at Austin Harden. The guy goes out and practiced extremely well, had a very good fall camp. He goes out in a pressure situation. He hits a 49-yarder to take the lead on the road. Would have been good from 60. But here's a guy that's practiced extremely well, prepared himself, given the opportunity. Now, from a confidence level, watching him hit the ball the last 2 days is like a different person. And it's amazing what confidence can do for you and as an athlete. And I look at the situation with the receiver. We're trying to get some things going in the throwing game. We drop a slant on the first drive. And it's like the air comes out of it a little bit. We've got to overcome those situations. We've got to finish on some plays. We've got to, be able to place the ball on 3rd and 6 to an out route to a tight end on the money. I mean, there's a lot of things involved in it, but I think from a standpoint of us making some plays, creating some confidence for our guys right now is critical.
And one last thing. Ahmad Fullwood in the last game, he came in for just, I think, 1 play. Was he hurt or is he just not playing?
No, we need to get Ahmad more involved. We certainly do. Right now, depending, when we're taking an upwards of 70, 80 snaps in the game, he needs to be more involved. CJ will be more involved in the slot this week. Quentin and DeMarcus and LaTroy, with that combination of guys, Brandon Powell getting him back and using him in some different roles will be very good for us. We wanted to expand his role in the off week, and we were unable to when he pulled his hamstring, but he looks great.
Will, you said the other day you'd play two quarterbacks if you had to. Are you still in that situation where you're willing to play a second quarterback?
We're going to do what we need to win the game. Mm-hmm.
And Driscoll, where's his confidence at right now?
Jeff's a tough young man. He's resilient, and I met with him Sunday and talked to him after the game and talked to him Monday, and he understands that there's some situations he needs to play better. He takes full responsibility to be the quarterback at the University of Florida. And the way he has handled this has been outstanding.
Over to the right.
Coach, how did you address the Treon Harris situation with the team on Monday?
I don't really have any further comment on the situation right now.
Thomas and then all the way to the back.
Well, what was the plan with Will before all this stuff happened? Was he headed for a red shirt?
Thomas, we hadn't really made a decision considering the length we still had to go in the season. And so, we had not had that discussion as far as red shirt at that time. Given the situation of having 2 guys that have played to that point of the season, that's probably where we were headed. Certainly, given the situation right now, obviously not.
All the way back to the right.
Coach, as far as when did you learn about the Trayon Harris situation, and did you notice any character flaws potentially within the young man?
I don't have any other comment about the situation.
Rear to the left. Oh, I'm sorry, Edgar, go ahead.
Yeah, well, how much is this taken away from preparation for LSU, time-wise for you?
Well, you know, you handle situations and you move forward, and that's what we've done. We'll be fine.
What have you, with Jeff, I mean, maybe seen on film during games that you guys are going over with him this week to kind of get him out of the funk?
Well, I
he's
think
been
we've
in?
taken out a lot of the positive things he's done within his career here at the University of Florida, which there's been a lot. There's played in some big games, played in a big game against LSU 2 years ago here and won, and made some plays in that game to help us. So those are all things that we try to accentuate at this time, and that's what we're doing.
Rear to left, coach.
Why did you not try like some sort of Hail Mary or a field goal before the half against Tennessee? Instead, just let the clock run out.
Well, given the situation, we had an offensive penalty for a chop block down the field. It wasn't in the what they call the 10-2 range in front of the defender. And in that situation, they reset the clock to an administrative timeout, so the play clock now goes to 25 seconds. We would have tried a Hail Mary had the clock run down. Given that there was 10 seconds left in the game, we had run the clock down. Hail Mary may last 8 seconds. They may have 2 seconds to shoot another ball down the field on our end, and I didn't want to get in that situation. And then with the administrative delay of game, clock was still running in the situation. He took the 10-second runoff and didn't make us punt, and which I thought he would do. I wanted to see how they responded to the situation. They took the 10-second runoff. I didn't want to chance them having another opportunity to shoot the ball in our end zone either, since the ball was at midfield. And with Worley's arm strength, he can throw it 70 yards.
I also, with Leon Orr and Michael Taylor out last week, the defense looked faster. Is that something that is by a product of the new guys that were in there, or just game plan?
Well, I don't think our game plan makes them play any faster, but I think that we did a good job of executing our assignments, and I think that maybe that had something to do with us looking faster on the field. We didn't, guys communicated much better, in executing the plan, so maybe that attributed to that. But no question, Leon and Mike have played very good football here for us, and excited to get both of them hopefully back this week. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, over the right.
Will, you talked after the Tennessee game about the emotional lift that Trayon had given the team in that game. And looking back on it, you could see an obvious change when he came in. Is there a concern when you see something like that, and now going back to Jeff as the starter, that there's a letdown, or is it possible that he's lost some confidence with his teammates, and what do you do about that?
Well, I think that the number one thing you do, and what I addressed our offense on Monday, was taking ownership in your job. And the passing game takes a lot of components to work well. Starts with protection, which I think we've protected extremely well this year. But you go down to a tip ball interception. We have an A-gap blitz, which the running back doesn't pick up. Jeff's got to force the ball a little bit quicker than he would like to. We have a receiver coming across the middle that is open. It hits off his hands. Probably should have caught the ball, and it's an interception. So we're all going to blame that on Jeff Driscoll. That's not all Jeff Driscoll's fault. And we took about 15 plays from the game and illustrated to our players, and not to defend Jeff, but to defend the quarterback position, that people around them need to execute better and take ownership in what they need to do better. You've got 15 drops at the receiver position in 4 games. That's a bunch. And you want to talk about confidence and timing and getting things going and those sort of things. Those are things that we've addressed within the ownership of the position. And take ownership in your play and how you play and how you perform, instead of pointing the finger at somebody else, which is the easiest thing to do and what we do in our society in most situations.
When also with C.J. Warden, you see him as a slot receiver, and
Mm-hmm.
could he
He'll play in the
contend
slot.
for the starting
Yep.
job there?
What's that?
Could he contend for the start there?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a good football player and a good to get him back. He will play Saturday.
Rear to left.
You said Marcus May had the best game of his season this Saturday, but you guys gave up 5 passes of 15-plus yards defending the slot, especially those 2 at the end of 15-plus yards. Just what do you need to fix defending the slot?
Well, and I think that, in 4 games, he did play his best ball game. We lost our eyes in a situation where, we always tell our players in an injury situation, stay down. We got in a substitution deal on the wheel route on their sideline, and that wasn't all Marcus's fault. We had 2 situations where we should have slid the defender underneath and forced the ball high. Now, 2 of them were pretty good throws. They got scholarships too. In those situations, you got to tip your hat and play the next down. Now, the interception in the game, Keanu Neal's going to get the credit for it, but he's in underneath coverage and in what we call a trail position, which elevates the ball, and Keanu Neal has an opportunity to intercept it. So that's what I call a caused interception. So we need to continue to work on our eye control is the biggest issue we have right now. And in man coverage, unfortunately, some players like to stare at the quarterback, and they're going to stare at the quarterback and watch him complete passes. Because in man coverage, you got to cover the man, and what I talk about is working yourself in phase with the receiver in order to play the ball. And I've seen tremendous improvement from him, and we're expecting tremendous improvement to continue to go.
And with Jalen Tabor, just same type of role for him next Saturday?
Well, I hope he's that productive. That'd be nice. But, not many times you're going to just come off the edge and blitz and nobody blocks you. But he played the deep ball well. We outnumbered them in the box. They took a shot in the end zone, in the red zone. I thought it was a really nice play against a very good player and a very good throw. He had a couple opportunities there to defend balls. First, third down, I thought was an outstanding play, had very good coverage. So I think he's a guy that just continues to improve, and that's what, that's the natural progression of a young player. You want to see improvement week to week and really day to day. And that's where I think I've seen with Jalen.
Zach over the right, and then Kevin.
Will, I saw Daniel McMillan on the sideline not dressed against Tennessee. Did he not play at all in the game?
He had a head injury that we're dealing with right now, and we expect him to be back.
And where is he at right now in his progression? I know when he came in, he was a guy that you thought could even contend for a starting job right off the bat. Where do you feel like he's came along? What does he still
we've
need?
gotten very good production right now with Antonio Morrison, and we're really this game will be a little different in our first 4 ball games. A little 50-50 probably with Alabama. Well, we've been a nickel team where we've only had 2 linebackers on the field. We've had very good production from Antonio Morrison, Michael Taylor, Jared Davidson, and Ron Ball. And so those guys have played well for us right now. Daniel needs to continue to work as far as assignments and those things are concerned and be more consistent in his performance. And he's a guy that we've got a lot of confidence in. I think he's played well on special teams. So he'll continue to improve.
And then with Duke and Jalen, the increased playing time that they got against Tennessee, was that something that I'm sure it was something that they earned in practice, but is that, an example of 2 guys where, as a coach, you didn't maybe feel comfortable putting them on the field earlier in the year, and they got their opportunity and proved you right?
One of the hardest things for a young player to understand is the importance of practice, because generally they've been better than anyone they've ever played against, so they didn't have to work hard in practice, and they can show up at the game and flip it on, and all of a sudden it works and everything goes well for them. And that's not the way it is on this level. And you have to build confidence and trust in your coaches that when you put them in the game, they can understand what to do, especially in the secondary situation. When you got a guy that's got 8 busted assignments in one practice, that's not good. And that doesn't give you any confidence that he's going to be able to go out and execute it on game day. Because I've been in situations where guys never have any busts, and they go out on the game day and they can't figure anything out. So those are situations you never know till they get in those situations. But I think in Duke's case especially, he's practiced better, and he's come out and had consistently good practices to build confidence to put himself in that situation too. And I thought he played well. I thought he did some nice things. There's some things we need to clean up. But, again, for a first start on the road in that environment against a pretty good throwing football team, I was proud of him.
Kevin, and then Edgar and Jesse.
How much did Will Greer's back injury set him back, or how would you evaluate how he's throwing the ball and his chemistry with his receiver?
Well, he threw the ball well Monday and yesterday, and I feel, we continue to progress through the week. We're not ready to make a decision on who will be the backup in the game at this time, but I think I didn't see a lot of rust from him, as far as those things. He's been involved in all of the meetings and all of those things.
And the morning wag Gerald Willis situation, any discipline action at all, or was it just a case of a misunderstanding?
That was a tremendous misunderstanding. I don't know if I tell you, boy, we've made a big one out of this. We've got an air thing that takes the wetness out of the cleats. And Skylar last year was number 17, and Jordan Sherritt's number 17 this year. And Gerald was coming from class and was trying to get ready for practice and couldn't find his cleats on the air thing. And he grabbed number 17 because he's buddies with Jordan Sherritt, and he thought that'd be okay, and went out to practice, and there was a disagreement on the cleats and whose cleats they were. Nobody stole anything. If anybody stole anything, they wouldn't be on this football team anymore. I can assure you of that, okay? And we had a disagreement, and I wish it had been handled a little bit differently, but that's, me and my brother Mike used to fight all the time. I don't know. It happened in our family. Maybe our family is really different from everybody else's family. Me and my brother Pat, I never won. Took swings, never won. That's the way it goes. It's families. That's what happens.
Edgar?
My sister used to beat me up, so.
And it doesn't shock me. I can tell you that right now.
I opened that one up for you, Will. That was teed right up for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
So Matt Jones, is he practicing?
No, he's not practiced so far. We'll hope to get him out there and get some reps today. He has some swelling on his knee, in the knee that he has injured before twice, and had some swelling on the knee. Mm-hmm.
And so he'll play?
I fully expect him to play.
Okay.
Sure, certainly do.
Thomas and then Jesse.
Well, you guys were able to get DJ back in there last week. How did you kind of evaluate his performance, and do you make any changes there or stick with what you got?
A little rusty. He and I talked after the game. That's the one thing about DJ. He's a hard self-evaluator, and came to me and said, boy, we got to tighten some things up. And but he'll continue to, he'll get back in the swing. I've been pleased with his practice so far this week. Chaz played well at right tackle. Rod, gave up one thing on an inside stunt that was a critical play for us there in the game, but continues to improve and get better, and he's going to continue to take steps forward and be a very valuable member of our offensive line. David Sharp continues to improve. So we feel pretty comfortable where we are, as we move forward in the season, especially when you get in this run in the season where there's going to be some injuries and things that happen. And right now, Tripp's done some nice things. Tyler Trenton probably played his best game Saturday. And Max is playing extremely well for us at center. Yeah.
Time for a couple final. Jesse, then Antonio, and then Rapper.
Will, with Matt, he sounds like he's going to be okay. How has Kelvin Taylor kind of responded to the clear pecking order at the running back position? It seems like some pass protection concerns have limited his snaps there. And how have he and Mac Brown practiced, knowing that Jones is clearly the starter?
They've both been outstanding, and they're both competitive guys. They both want to play. There's one ball right now, and so both of those guys, I expect their roles to maybe, depending on how we move forward in the next 72 hours with Matt, which I expect him to play, but I've got confidence in Kelvin. I've got confidence in Mac Brown. Adam Lane has been over-repping with our guys the last couple days just in case, and a guy that I've got tremendous confidence in him as well. Talking about a hard guy to tackle, a low center of gravity, a strong, tough back that catches the ball well out of the backfield. And then you add Brandon Powell to the mix of a guy that's going to get some snaps Saturday in some different roles. So, excited about that position. I think it was pretty obvious to everyone, in that ball game that, Matt Jones gets heavy as the game goes, and he ran extremely well.
Antonio over the left, and we'll wrap up with Mark up front.
Well, I know you said you're going to be all right, and I'm sure you will, but you've talked all through these years about the family atmosphere and how you feel about these players. So when someone finds himself in some trouble, strictly from a man who loves his players' standpoint, how tough is it for you in that sense?
Well, it always hurts anytime a young man goes through a tough situation, and not referring to that situation individually, but anytime you see our players hurt, you see a young man hurt, you spend a lot of time with them. It's hard. It's very hard. You get emotionally attached in all situations. Absolutely.
And we'll wrap it up with Mark.
When you look at LSU's defense, some similarities maybe to your secondary in terms of you lose a number of guys early, repeatedly. Is that what they're kind of growing pains and paying the price?
I don't think there's any question. They've lost 18 players in the last 2 years in the NFL draft, and you can't recruit, in my opinion, to replace that quickly. No different than we lost 3 players in the secondary that have played a bunch of football and a bunch of quality football for us. It's very difficult to overcome those, but nobody wants to hear that. At the end of the day, I can say it for less. He can't say it. That's hard. And it's hard to replace that. It's hard to recruit for that. In a lot of situations, you're finding out the 1st of January the young man wants to try the NFL, and you're asking yourself, you got to be kidding me. But that's the life of where we are now in college football. We need to, and I think we're working with the National Football League to amend those situations where young men aren't ready for that step. And but there's no question they've probably faced some growing pains. And I can't speak for them, but I know losing the amount of players they've lost in 2 years is it certainly takes a toll on your roster. There's no question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.